everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everyone for coming back to my channel, and thank you so much for listening in the podcast. It is Wednesday, March 13, 2024. I'm here to speak about what recently we heard from gospel Grammy Award winner gospel artist Tye Tribbett. He said this, and by the way, he's also a pastor in case you didn't know. I'm very familiar with some of his songs. I heard about Tye Tribbett like 2012, something like that, 2013, and I remember watching some of his concerts too. And there was at one point there was like a scandal with him and his marriage or something like that. But anyways, I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about what he recently said during an interview at the Breakfast Club, a very well-known radio show where a lot of musicians go to. And Tye Tribbett got in trouble with a lot of the Christian community, people in the Christian community, because of something that he said. And this is usually how it goes. The minute you raise some concern, and when people see that it's the truth, they want to basically single you out and say, why are you saying something like that, referring to the church? He actually said the church is Wack. Let me give you, I'm gonna see if I can put the video if you're watching this on YouTube. I might have to put some background music in it, but he actually said the institution of the church is Wack. There are a lot of things wrong with that statement, in my opinion, but hear me out though. I don't think what he said was in, like, everything that he said in that short statement was wrong, because there are a lot of things that we see in the American church that it makes you wonder, is this really church? Is this what we call church every Sunday? But what he said and where he said it is the biggest issue here. I made a video yesterday regarding that pastor that he was found guilty from stealing from his congregants to afford his lavish lifestyle. And I said, when people are searching for the Lord, right? We're obviously living in the last days. When people are searching for the church, they're searching for the Lord, and they see and they hear so many scandals. If there's any doubt that they should join a church or not, they're gonna look at things like this and be like, why even try? The pastor is stealing from the church. This famous gospel artist is saying the church is Wack, so why even try? And that's what I was coming from yesterday. I'm saying that because all of this stuff gives unfortunately a bad reputation. For him to go to the Breakfast Club and speak like that regarding the church, specifically when you are basically a member of the church, it's almost like getting on that show and speaking bad about your household. It's like conversations like that should be happening inside the church with your staff, not at the Breakfast Club when people are like listening to you, which is not to have a gospel singer there. It's not like a routine type of a guest, right? And you're gonna go there and you're basically gonna bash, your own foundation, what you're all basically about. That's what I'm coming from. But he didn't say a lie. I don't think he said a lie. I don't think by him making that statement he was lying about it. Like I said, there are a lot of things that we see in the church happening that it makes you wonder, why is this really what we call church these days? It's so much about growth, but nobody follows through. Nobody follows through, specifically in these big churches. And even in the small churches. I used to go to a small church and something happened that I had to take a break or something. People, the minute they don't see you 2 Sundays in a row, they immediately think that you live in the gospel, because nobody makes the effort to reach out. And that's crazy. The church is the people, okay? The church is the people. If Jesus was walking through the streets right now and going on a Sunday morning to some of the church services that we see, you don't think he will be flipping tables? I have gone to churches where they see that you're new and they immediately want to sell you a book. they immediately want to invite you. And then you get people who made the effort to like reach out and connect, and they basically, hey, you want to go and, get together. I remember going to this is so crazy, I'm talking about this. I was fairly new in this big church, and I remember being requested as a friend on Facebook. And I'm like, oh. And then you see everybody else like requesting you, and you're like, oh, it's everybody from the same church. And then suddenly I was invited to this get together. I'm like, hey, I'm new here, right? I'm new in this church. I want to get to know the people. Maybe this is like a get together to get to know more people from the church, Bible story, something like that. I'm just going to go. The whole meeting, it was such a disappointment. The whole meeting was about creating your own business and like having a side hustle, selling something else. And I was like, are you serious? Like, nobody wants to connect anymore. Like, they don't even know what you do for a living. They don't even want to give you that respect to even ask, hey, what do you do for a living? Like, where do you live? It's like you were invited to hear testimony. It's almost like a lot of people, I gotta say this, a lot of people do use churches to find people to invite them for their own business, to recruit, to sell them stuff. And I think this is where Tye Tribbett was coming from. The church is Wack, meaning the whole institution, as we call it church right now. These days, we know there's a problem. Years ago, I remember Pastor Francis Chan. He wrote the book Crazy Love. He said he left his mega church in California because he said when he was not preaching that Sunday, the attendance would drop. More than half the people would not even come. And he said there were things that he noticed. People were too comfortable. Then he also experienced going to different countries, and he was seeing how many people were on fire for Jesus. But everything in the church here in the US everything is time, everything is schedule. I mean, everything is just so scheduled. And I also felt, and I think I have said this before, there are things that you see in the churches that it makes you wonder, man, if Jesus were walking right now to the church, I don't think anybody will even like speak to him, because it's a lot of the things that are based on appearance, what you look like, and people make assumptions right away. It's crazy. Let me read to you briefly. A Grammy Award winning gospel artist and Orlando-based pastor Tye Tribbett stopped by the Breakfast Club's radio show, and the conversation took an interesting turn. This is what people like this, besides them being influential and very well known, when you get invited, let's just say, to a secular club, to a secular radio station, you being a gospel artist, don't you think they're gonna find a way for you to basically not deny, but kind of go against everything that you're all about? That's why you have to be so careful. But I think and a lot of Christians got upset because there's a lot of Christians that they live this fake life. So when something like this is brought up, they don't want to hear it. They don't want people to know. And they, I don't want to say they got him, but even though he said what he said, saying the church is whack, I think there's a lot of, it's a lot of what we see in the churches today makes sense for him to even say something like that. It's almost like it's this line that goes along with the world, and they want to masquerade it, calling it a different thing, but yeah, they're still celebrating the same tradition that the world also celebrate. And then how you gonna ask people to have their mind renewed if you're keeping them in the same line? How you gonna tell people get away from clubbing and things like that, where you still gonna make them walking in the same line? It's gonna be it's kind of hard. specifically for new believers, people who are just coming to know the Lord now. Like I said, there's a lot of people looking for the truth right now because of the state of the world, everything that's happening, guys. So it says here, Tribbett gave a passionate talk about how he feels like the institution of the church is whack. He went on to explain that he's frustrated by how the church has gotten things backwards. The church should, this is what he said, quote unquote, the church should be about the people, but the church makes the people about the church. They are not serving and loving people. Tribbett comments have been receiving both praise and backlash online. So yeah, it is about the people, and it's so crazy. Just yesterday, I made a reel about how God. There's a verse in the Bible where He said, "Nevertheless, I have something against you, that you forgot your first love." We have to remember there's a lot of things that people do out of tradition, routine, and they forget the whole reason why they even do it. They call it church, but it's really not. It's just, they're looking for influence, they're looking for attention also. I think there's a lot of pride in some ministries that you see. There is pride, and they say, well, I'm just serving. Yeah, but what is behind all of that? Because if you really look closely, it shows at times. I'm not saying I'm so innocent. I'm not saying nothing like that. When I speak like that, it's because I also check myself, and pray about it. What do you want me to do in the church, Lord? Is this where you want me to be? Because there's a lot of people who are very happy being behind closed doors in the church and so serving behind the scenes. And then there are people who want to have the spotlight. Not because God called them to do that, but because they're in the spotlight. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that you see, and I understand 100% where Tye Tribbett is coming from. I understand that 100%. People think they're fooling, they can fool like new believers, I guess you can say, unfortunately. But once, then you see people for a few months, and then you don't see them again, and you're like, oh, I wonder what they saw. It's so crazy that I'm even saying that. Like I said, I have seen it in many different churches. You see things, and you remember like, I remember like, oh my gosh, I used to be in that church. That's crazy. I remember going to the Spanish church, and everything that was asked, like I said, I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Like, there was never like people just assume that you show up to that church to find a husband, and every conversation that they had with you was about that. Hey, are you married yet? Are you dating anybody? It's like, these people don't even ask, hey, how was your work week? The church is the people, but people just make assumptions, and it's so crazy. Get the time to get to know somebody. Let me know, guys, what you guys think about this comment made by pastor and gospel music artist Tye Tribbett, who said on the Breakfast Club, out of all places, he said the church is whack. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel, listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, Julissadesigns, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.julissadesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.